All right, so I'm currently on the phone with Tory Smith. He's another musician that reached out about the current interview sessions going on. So I'm going to go ahead and give him the chance to introduce himself.
Hey guys, this is Tory Smith. I'm the co-founder of a new startup called Black Box Prompter. This is the world's first smart teleprompter that helps get the iPad and the music stand kind of out of the face and onto the floor where audience doesn't even know you're using any sort of teleprompter. Also have a lot of interest in live music, especially in the cover band scene. Managed two cover bands in the Dallas Fort Worth area. I saw this need, and we're going to get into a little bit of that today.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm kind of very interested in how you kind of discovered that need, so we'll definitely get there. But for the moment, let's kind of talk about how this all kind of came about. How did you kind of find yourself interested in music in general, and then kind of figure out that it was connected with your personality?
Oh, yeah. So I was the youngest of three boys and grew up in the 80s. I'm an 80s kid. I'm in my 40s now. My older brothers, they were always listening to 80s music all the time, Duran Duran and, Journey, Prince, Billy Idol, you name it. And, it just stuck with me. And as I got older, I realized one of my brothers had this incredible voice, a real shy guy too. As one thing led to another, as adults, right, as grown ass men, family men, we thought, what a cool hobby, what a cool side hustle would be if we started our own cover band. And so about 5 years ago, we started an 80s band called 80s Gadgets. We're both 80s kids, and we play exactly those artists I just covered. We do a number of Duran Duran songs and Prince songs, etc. And of course, we do Don't Stop Believing because you have to, because you're an 80s band. But that was about 5 years ago, and it was really interesting, Alexander. What happened when we first started? My brother did not want to be that guy with the tablet or phone in his face. We've all seen it, especially in the cover band scene, right? So what he did is he went to see what was out in the market, and there wasn't a whole lot in the market. And what was in the market was kind of expensive and looked kind of clunky. So he's like, what? I like my lyrics on my iPad. He uses an app called OnSong. It's real popular. And so he's like, I want the iPad experience, but I don't want people to know I'm using the iPad. So he literally went to the garage and got an Amazon shipping box, cut out some of it, put black duct tape all around it, set it on the floor, and he rests his iPad inside of that Amazon shipping box. And would you believe it? That became his poor man's teleprompter. He had his little Bluetooth pedals to help navigate the pages, and he did that for a while. And I thought, man, that's brilliant. I mean, it's you did this on the cheap, fantastic. But I was like, man, there's got to be a better way than that. If I wasn't on stage performing, I would be in the audience, watching some of my friends, play covers. And one thing they all had in common is they had that iPhone in the face. They had that tablet in the face, and it just wasn't a good look, And so it was just more validation. I was like, oh my god. And then I went to Nashville a few months ago to validate it, and every single musician taking requests, same thing. Everybody had the phone in the face. I talked to some photographers that photograph bands, and they absolutely hate it because it blocks the view and whatnot. So I'm getting all this validation, and I've seen what was on the market, and I was like, holy smokes, there's a better way, much better way to do it. And so that's about a year ago. I launched this company called Black Box Prompter. It's the world's first smart teleprompter. We can talk about what quote unquote smart means, but it's a game changer. We just got back from NAMM 2 weeks ago, and you talk about validation, man. So many people, whether they were worship leaders at church, whether they're AV integrators, whether they played in a cover band themselves, they were all just blown away. They're like, wow, where have you been all my life? And it was just really, really reassuring that we might be onto something.
So I do have a bit of a tangential question about that. So you mentioned that one of the experiences that you had around that was in Nashville, and you walked into a band that was taking requests, and you saw that they were using an iPad or whatever device to pull up lyrics, I assume. Have you found that the ability to have an instant draw of lyrics like that has kind of opened up the directory of the amount of songs that people are actually able to perform live?
Oh, for sure. Right. Because think about before the iPad even existed, right? What did we have? We had binders, and there are some folks that still use binders, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that's much more of a pain in the ass to have to sift through, right? As you're flipping pages. But to answer your question, yeah, absolutely, man. You can quickly search up a song, even go out to Ultimate Guitar if you have that app, and pull up the right key. And it takes a minute or two to get exactly the right thing you need, but once you got it, boom, it's there. And so, as a cover band musician taking a request, yeah, you might be vaguely familiar with it, but you might not know it word for word, and you certainly don't remember how the bridge goes. If you're trying to play it.
Sure.
So you're scrambling to do that. So short answer, yes, absolutely. The iPad in general, and it could be Android tablet, whatever, but just the smartphone technology where you have the internet at your fingertips, where you can look up anything within seconds. Yes, that has certainly changed the game. However, I do want to mention something that's going to change the game even more, and you guys are one of the first people I've actually explained this to. So let's take that example of that. Let's take that example of the guy in Nashville, right? Every bar I went to, every single one of them had the iPad. Every single one of them took requests. That's how they make money. That's their career, right? That's how they make money. And what would happen? Somebody would walk up, say, "Hey, can you play such and such song?" And they're like, yeah. Just give me a minute. I need to look it up. And they take a minute. They search it up. They pause. They scroll. They find it. They might need to find the key or whatever. It took a minute or two, right? And then they'd wing it, get through it. And everybody was happy. They got tipped, whatever. Great. But it still kind of killed the vibe, right? I mean, because it takes them a minute to pull it up, Well, what we're going to do, and again, this doesn't exist anymore. What we're going to do is by summer, by the way, as we're recording this, we're early in 2025. But by this summer, we are going to launch our AI. Well, what does that mean? Well, it just so happens my co-founder is one of the top AI engineers in the world, who happens to be a drummer. And he is building a model, a voice recognition model. So get this, you'll be able to talk into your phone that's connected to our prompter, right? I told you it was smart. You'll be able to talk to it and say, "Hey, black box, pull up Hotel California." Not in B minor. Let's do it half a step lower. Pull it up in A minor. Boom. And the lyrics and the chords just instantly appear. Okay. So that's going to be a game changer for these cover band musicians. I'm going to tell you that right now, because again, that really doesn't exist right now.
Okay, so you're looking at building out some sort of like software infrastructure on the back end that can pull that data.
Absolutely. Yeah. And truth be told, we already have a good chunk of it already built, because my business partner has built that. I'll geek out for a second, but that whole language learning model for a different company in a completely different industry. But he's able to repurpose a lot of that and tweak it, and such that it will be for live performers, for live music. So we're doing some pretty cool, innovative things. Another thing that, while we're on the subject, one of the things that people that raised eyebrows at NAMM was this new feature we're rolling out called Sing Along. Now imagine you have it could be an original band, could be cover band, doesn't matter, right? Maybe you're an original band, you just released an album, and your fan base comes, and they don't really know your new stuff yet, right? It's a brand new album, they don't know it yet. Well, they can scan. You'll have a QR code, right? It's unique to your box, and you put that you post that QR code, in the form of a poster or whatever. You put it there, and they can scan the QR code, and immediately the lyrics appear. So they see the lyrics that you see on the black box, they will see on their smartphone in real time, and they can sing along with you. So don't mess up the lyrics if you're the singer. But that doesn't exist anywhere, to be able to sing along with the band that's playing. So you talk about connecting with the audience. This is some pretty innovative, mind-blowing stuff that we're going to be releasing this year that we're so excited about.
Sure. And so for that, you're not talking about just like cover songs. You're talking for like original bands as well. They'll be able to throw up a QR code.
It could be anything. Yeah, anything with text. Yeah, anything. I mean, it could be original, if you want to, hey, sing along, and then as as we all study for a test, they all taught us to use, index cards or highlight, but if you say it out loud, or if you're seeing the words, if you're seeing it and then you're hearing the music, man, those words are going to click, they're going to gel quicker than anything else. And so you talk about creating that level of engagement for your audience. I mean, it's pretty cool, because again, when that audience member scans the QR code, they're not installing anything, right? There's no app. I mean, how many of us have apps? 90% of them we don't even use, right? There's no app. They just scan the QR code and the words appear, and bam, off to the races.
So you mentioned that you've been playing in bands for a while, and you've kind of noticed some of these niches that could use some innovation. What do you think it is about these specific innovations that you keep looking for and finding spaces that motivates you to continue to create these sorts of things?
Yeah, so I started this company about a year ago, and I've run businesses before. I've worked for the man. I've been CEO of some other small businesses. This is my first time to actually be in the music industry. Okay, so NAMM was very eye opening for me. I've always known about it being the Super Bowl for the music industry, but actually be a part of it was pretty mind blowing for me. And so, yeah, I'm nearly a year into this industry, and man, the kind of people that I'm meeting are just remarkable. There's so many, level-headed people. Even the guys filling out arenas, you get to know them on a personal level. They're pretty cool. But going back to your question, finding these gaps in these niches. What I've learned is, a lot of this stuff we've been doing it the same way for so long. It's like that whole, ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. But I would argue in the age of, not just internet, but AI and all these innovations that are coming, there is a shift happening. And a lot of the folks that are becoming complacent or dormant, they're going to be left in the rear view. They're going to be left behind. And so what I would like to do is kind of wake up and say, hey, gosh, there is a better way to do this. What was it? One of the inventions I saw, one of the major mics. I'll give you an example. You're a musician. I think you're a drummer, right, Alexander?
Primarily, yeah.
Primarily, yeah, yeah. So one of the innovations I saw, I think they're releasing it now, was a mic stand. I forget the company. It was the K. I think it was a German company. It starts with a K. But it's a mic stand that we have an XLR cable coming up the shaft of the mic stand. And then boom, it's like you don't even have to run an extra XLR. It's nice and neat. And it comes up the shaft of the mic stand, and boom, you have an XLR to plug your mic into, your wired mic into. Now that's not 2025 technology, but they found a gap, right? They was like, we can do this better. And so I'm going to continue to be on the lookout and on the forefront of trying to find, these little nuance of, what, hey, that's good, but man, if we make a tweak here, we could really, really make that great.
Okay, so tell me about your experiences at NAMM. Were you a vendor or just attending?
We were a vendor. We made our debut there. We had a booth, and I'll share that when you're starting out and you're a rookie, they put you on the bottom floor with a lot of the Chinese companies and all the startups and whatnot. I guess you could say it's initiation. They kind of make you pay your dues. And then the main floor. This is the Anaheim Convention Center, by the way, massive convention center. But on the main floor, I don't even know how many hundreds of thousands of square feet. It's ridiculously large. But that's where all the big vendors are going to be, right? All the main players from everything imaginable, instruments, accessories, Gibson guitar, Taylor guitar, keyboard players, chord, all the main players are there. But we were on the bottom floor. But our booth was actually in a good spot because as people registered their badges, we were one of the first booths that they saw. So we got really, really good foot traffic, even though we were on the bottom floor. And we had some influencers that I immediately recognized that came by, and they're like, "Man, this is so cool!" So we got some free pub out of it, some free content out of it, and then we had some folks that were just like, "Man, I'm in the AV industry, or I work for a church and their AV department. And oh my gosh, I could think of so many churches that need this, because for churches I think are going to be our sweet spot, to be honest, because we can set up wireless sync. You can have one box that controls multiple boxes. Imagine doing that wirelessly where one person's in charge and it turns pages for everybody all at the same time. So there's some cool things like that too. But yeah, it was, if anything, it wasn't cheap, especially for a startup. We're pretty much bootstrapping this, and it's obviously expensive to travel and hotel, and then, just have the booth. It was not a cheap thing, but it was a necessary thing. We absolutely had to do it. And I'm so glad we did. It was so refreshing to get out in the wild right? And hear people's natural, genuine reaction to this crazy ass concept that I came up with a year ago.
So you kind of mentioned a couple of features there about linking them together and all that, but how do you define the word smart for your prompter?
So smart to me is you've got tech built in that that makes it more intelligent, where it takes the load. And I don't have a Wikipedia perfect definition or Merriam-Webster perfect definition, but the way I interpret it is it takes the load off of the consumer, right? When we think of our Alexa devices or our phones, and you think of voice recognition, and you think of it, to me, all that's smart technology, right? Because it makes it less cumbersome for us, the end user. So when I call this the world's first smart teleprompter, I believe that 100%. I can firmly look you in the eye and say that, because I looked out at the marketplace, and the teleprompters that are out there right now, while they all might look the same on the surface, they ain't smart. Okay. So I'm not going to name names, but if you look at what's out there in the market, they show PowerPoint slides or they show JPEG files, and you can flip to the next one, and you prep them on your computer. You get a thumb drive in, and then you can flip, and you can see your PowerPoint files or your JPEGs. And that, to me, that's just basic 1998 stuff. Ours goes so much way beyond that. Because remember, the tech is built inside. Okay, there's a computer inside. Now, I'll geek out for a second. Raspberry Pi computer with some processing and a hard drive, or an SD card rather, where you can store tens of thousands of songs or hundreds of thousands of songs. I don't remember the last count. It depends on the size of your memory card. But if you're a musician and you have your chord charts in there, you can auto transpose. Maybe somebody says, "Hey, bring that down. It's too high. Can you bring it down half a step?" Within a couple stomps on your pedal, boom, you can auto transpose right there on the fly. You can color code sections. So your singer wants to have a visual cue when the chorus is coming up, so you can color code the word chorus automatically. So just little things to just make it easier and smarter, so that, again, it takes that burden off of you, the user.
Sure, that's awesome. All right, well, where can people check this out and see if it'll fit into their stage setup?
Absolutely, yeah. So one last thing before I mention that, it is a 24-inch screen right now, and the audience has no idea it's even a teleprompter. They think it's a speaker wedge. So the form factor is really, really nice, and it's made with black speaker paint. So it's again, they have no idea it's a teleprompter, and it's nearly 3 times the size of your largest iPad. So as we're getting older, not only is our memory slipping, we're getting older, and our vision is ain't what it used to be, right? And so this is an excellent supplement to that. Not to mention a much more professional look that opens you up, so the audience doesn't see you with an iPad or music stand in your face. But Alexander, yes, we're on Amazon and Reverb and eBay, but the best place to find us is going to be the website. We're running sales all the time. So if you go to blackboxprompter.com, and if you use the promo code MANIFEST, you'll get 10% off your purchase. And if you live in the U.S., in the continental U.S., you also get free shipping with that.
All right, sounds good. So I always like to give the person that I'm interviewing the opportunity to put out a message that they feel they resonate with. So what would be your message that you want to send out to other musicians?
Don't stop performing. If it's in your blood, keep going. Even if you're in your 80s, doesn't matter. Just keep performing. Keep at it. It's in your blood. Keep doing it.